as News Desk. And now let's go to our story. The delegations from various countries have arrived in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for the 38th ordinary session of the African Union Summit. Now, the summit will feature the election of a new African Union chairperson, with 3 candidates expected to be on the ballot on Saturday. Now, commissioners to the commission have already been elected. For more details on the summit, we now join our senior political affairs reporter, Daniel Kariuki, live from Addis Ababa. Good afternoon, Daniel Kariuki. Looks like the weather there is good. The sun is shining, as well as mood on what is going to take place on Saturday. Can you bring us up to speed on what already has happened at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia? Kariuki.
Thank you very much, Dennis Aseto, back in Nairobi, and you have said it right. We are here at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where, of course, all eyes are following what is happening between now, or rather between yesterday until Sunday, as this is when we are going to be seeing elections of the AUC chair, and of course Kenya having a candidate. Definitely it means that all eyes are here, definitely. And I want just to engage the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, who is also the Prime Cabinet Secretary, to bring us to speed with the latest and what we have actually managed to have here in Addis Ababa. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN. Of course, we are live, and it is a summit that is being followed keenly across Africa, across the country, in Kenya. What can you tell us of the latest that has been happening here?
Well, I think we are in day 2 of the Executive Council. This is the segment of the ministers, and we have conducted the elections for other officers or officials. It has just come to an end, and now we are beginning to examine the various reports. The outgoing chairman of the AUC, Mr. Mohamed Faki, has presented his report. Then the other thing that has happened is that we are now going to start reviewing a report on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, on the CDC, and also legal instruments that need to be adjusted. So these are the areas that will be focused. So hopefully, when this is done, the Executive Council will now pave way for the summit, which involves the heads of state. And as we speak, the various heads of state have started arriving in Addis Ababa, and we anticipate the arrival of President Ruto of Kenya at about 2 to 2:30 p.m. this afternoon.
Right, of course, you've said it right, that we are going to be looking forward to the Heads of State Summit, and we understand that the elections are going to be happening on Friday. Maybe what can you tell us about on Saturday rather? What can you tell us about the preparation for this, and Kenyans watching? What can you tell them?
Well, I think first of all, let's let them understand that the summit is now the highest organ, and that is where all the heads of state are going to converge to conduct the matters of the union. Now, a few things will happen. One, we will expect them to formally hand over, that is, Mauritania will hand over to Angola as the new chair of the African Union. So the president of Angola is going to take over for the next 1 year. Now, the president, once he's in place as chair, he will now also conduct the proceedings, which will include the election of the African Union Commission chair, and that is where Kenya has an interest through the Honorable Raila Odinga, and they'll be competing with Djibouti and Madagascar. So that is one segment. Once they are through with that election, and that is on the 15th, that will be more or less closer to the end of the session. But prior to that, tomorrow, the heads of state will be engaging in looking at critical reports such as the Peace and Security Report, the Climate Action Report. They'll be looking at various reports that various champions have been looking at, and they'll be making presentation to the summit. So this is how it goes. And for record, I think there are 35 heads of states that will be in attendance. And then other countries are represented either by a deputy president or vice president or prime minister, and a few are represented by their foreign affairs ministers.
My final question, of course, you've elected the commissioners, and you've been keen, of course, you are there. You've seen the dynamics, how they have played out. What can you talk about that?
Well, now the shifting moves to the heads of state. And the heads of state have to make very critical decisions, in my view. Africa is at a very serious crossroads. We are having a lot of conflict. I don't have to repeat the areas. There are so many hotspot areas. Whether you range from DRC to Somalia, parts of Somalia to Sudan, to the Sahel, to Mozambique, you are seeing hotspots in these areas. So it is absolutely important that this summit is conclusive. And I repeat, it is conclusive in ushering in the new leadership of the African Union. It would be very, very unfortunate if for some reason somebody said that we have all these heads of state here, heads of government, and then we are unable to have a conclusive resolution. And I say so because we need a leadership quickly in place to start tackling the issues, and more so the peace and security agenda, which is critical.
Thank you very much. And finally, will those dynamics maybe play in any way in the election of the next AU's chair?
We have prepared ourselves appropriately so that we can manage the various issues that would arise. But most important, we want a successful summit and outcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, for giving us the insights of what, of course, following to see what happens. Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. That's Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, who doubles up also as the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs in Kenya. And as he has just said, is that the election of the commission has just happened, and also has emphasized that the heads of state are going to be having the summit, and that is what everyone is looking forward to. Matters to do with the election of the next chairperson of the African Union Commission. And of course, we'll be here in Addis Ababa throughout to ensure that the viewer gets each and every thing that is going to be happening here as we give them the award.